Well, hello everybody. How's it going today? Welcome to our live stream. I'm Ian Douglas. I'm a senior developer advocate at Postman, and today I am joined by our new DevRel teammate Pooja. Welcome, Pooja, to the team. You've been with us for about a month now, and we decided it was time to give you your blindfold challenge. So I went through mine recently as well, and it's time to put you through your paces too. So welcome to the stream, and welcome to everybody. I hope that you're having a fantastic day wherever you are around the world. See lots of people on LinkedIn, lots of people in chat. So good to see everybody. If you're on Twitch, drop some emotes for us. If you're on Twitter, send some emojis. If you're on LinkedIn, send some likes. Let us know you're there. Hope that you're all having a fantastic day. Today we're going to do kind of our regular, in case you missed it, we're going to do some announcements, but we got a contest that we're going to be working through today. And so we definitely want to talk about that. We got some big news that happened this week with Postman. So we definitely want to share all of that with you today. So cool. Yeah. Well, Pooja, let's start with a quick introduction. Tell us about Pooja. Who are you? Where'd you come from? What have you been up to? How'd you get into tech? All that fun stuff.
Yeah, so thanks so much, Ian. I'm actually really excited to be here, and I've only been at Postman for about a month, but before I worked at Postman, I was actually working at IBM, and I was doing DevRel for IBM at the time, and have kind of spent a little bit of time in like the cloud space as well, and have also started my career as a automation engineer, doing like test automation. And that's where I actually first discovered Postman as a product. And so it became like one of my main tools that I've used to, test and build, automation pipelines and things like that. So I was excited to kind of come full circle from like working with Postman as like a developer and then a test engineer to then actually doing DevRel for Postman. So it's been a kind of a full journey in that sense. So I'm just excited to be here and like, part of this ecosystem. It seems so vibrant, lots of users worldwide, and a tool that I think people really enjoy and has helped a lot. So yeah.
Yep, for sure. Well, we're super excited to have you on the team. So we appreciate that you joined us. And so when we do these live streams, we like to start off with a segment called In Case You Missed It. There was a bunch of big news that dropped. If you are not subscribed to the Postman newsletter, highly recommend that you do so. So we announced a whole bunch of news in our newsletter this week. Just going to go over a few of them really quickly. The big update that I kind of teased, I think the last time we did the restream when I did Blindfold Challenge with Becca, I kind of dropped like, hey, pretty soon we're going to be doing forked environments, and that is now released. So if you were working on a team and your team is working on an environment, you can now fork and make pull requests on those environments with your team. Another big thing that we released is if you are using OpenAPI 3.0, we will now auto-generate documentation for you in Postman. So just really emphasizing, like, get those API specs into Postman, and we auto-generate all kinds of stuff. We'll auto-generate server-side code. We'll generate your documentation. There's so much neat stuff that Postman's going to help you along that API journey. We also have some Space Camp stuff coming up. So Joyce and Arnaud just did a Space Camp, I think just last week, on OpenAPI. And we're going to be continuing that in May, in just a couple of weeks. So go register for that. The next one that we're going to be doing, I'm going to be running, and we are going to be talking about kind of the whole API lifecycle with OpenAPI and how we do that inside of Postman. And so that's coming together really great. And then in June, Arlemy is going to be doing another one with Ruby, which is part 2, which is going to be monitoring and deploying an API, which is going to carry on from what we've been kind of working on, a series of OpenAPI within Postman. So cool. Well, it's really great to see everybody dropping chats in there. So lots of folks on LinkedIn. Really good to see everybody. Say hi to Kevin. Hi, Kevin. How's it going?
Hey, Kevin. Yeah.
So Kevin has been an avid Twitter user of this contest that we've had running. And so we're going to go talk about that in just a minute. But the other gigantic news that we had, of course, this week was that we hit 20 million users on the Postman platform. And so it was fantastic news when we saw this coming up. We're like, we're going to hit 20 million like any day now. And so we are super excited as a company that we've hit 20 million users. Our next goal is 100 million. And so we're looking forward to figuring out, how do we get 100 million people on our platform? There aren't 100 million developers. And so we're working on no-code tools such as our flows workflow, which will allow people to kind of build little building blocks. And you might have seen us demo that on a previous stream as well. Pooja, it looks like we lost your camera. So I don't know if you need to reset something there. Cool. Well, we got a whole bunch of people. Keith Casey, good to see you on LinkedIn. Looking forward to checking this out. Postman is key for us at ngrok. That's fantastic. Got lots of fun people all around the world using Postman. So that was our really big news for the week. And so as part of this, part of what we've done as a DevRel team is every quarter we have a little contest on Twitter that says, hey, go find your favorite feature about Postman and tweet about it. And so we've been watching the tweet storm coming through, and we've been basically looking for this hashtag of Postman favorites. And we've been seeing just tons and tons of tweets coming in. And you have a chance to win some marketing swag. So we have a whole kit that you can choose, or a cool little bobblehead. And we know that Kevin on our team is like really hoping to get one of these bobbleheads, but sorry, Kevin, Postman employees are not eligible to win. But this is going to be Pooja's blindfold challenge for today. We're going to go find on Twitter, we're going to go find all the tweets with this hashtag since April 1st until today. And so if you have not yet tweeted out your favorite feature about Postman, you've got mere minutes to get these in, because once we start drawing these, we're going to consider our part of this contest closed. But here's the thing. Wait, there's more. Stay tuned on the broadcast because there's going to be an additional chance for people to win. So if we don't draw your name, we're going to be drawing 3 winners right now. If we don't draw your name, you still have an opportunity to win. But I'm going to talk about that at the end of the broadcast. So you will need to stick around for that. But in the meantime, so Pooja, your blindfold challenge for today, I know that you've been working a little bit with the Twitter API already. But what we want to do is, so we've got a couple of constraints. We need to go find all of the tweets since April 1st until now that contain this case-sensitive hashtag of Postman favorites with a capital P and a capital F. We also want to make sure that people aren't just tweeting the hashtag. And so we're probably going to have some minimum amount of length that we're going to have to look for in the Twitter message. And then we want to deduplicate. We want to make sure that Kevin tweeting over and over and over again, if Kevin were eligible, that we only pick one of Kevin's tweets. And so these are going to be things that we're going to be working through today as far as your blindfold challenge goes. So let's go over and share your screen.
Sure. I will say though that I feel like this is a really great, just a great contest because I feel like the Postman swag. I'm a huge fan of it overall. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
it's like some of the best swag I've seen. So it's great that we've had so many people chime in and be a part of this challenge. Can you
Yeah.
see my screen? Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
So we got that reshared here. So as we kind of get rolling, so we're gonna kind of like put some notes together here, and then once we get going, I'm gonna hide the chat, but we will pull up occasional chat messages. But here's what we want: we want all of you to help Pooja with this. And so if you can think of a way to do some of this stuff in JavaScript for like when Pooja starts getting all the lists of tweets, we might need your help, chat, to help us figure out like how do we do a case sensitive search, how do we go extract the usernames, all this kind of stuff. And then we've got a random choice API where we're going to put all of the usernames in there, and it's just going to draw a random winner out of what we push. And so we're basically going to watch Pooja's process for putting some of this stuff together and where she's finding this stuff in our API network to go pull all this into a workspace and then basically draw our winners for today. So we're going to draw 3 winners. So Pooja, let's turn it over to you. I'm just going to hide chat over here for now.
Sure.
But we will, as I see chat messages come up, we will display them on the screen because we do want to hear everyone's input kind of as we work. So Pooja, how would you get started on this? How do you think you'd get rolling?
Definitely. So I think like one of the best ways to first get started is to have a clean place to, work and start. So, with Postman, most of the time, I think it's great to create your own workspace. So I think I'm going to get started by creating one of my own workspace for this challenge. So what should we call it? Should we call it like Twitter, like get random user challenge? Get random.
Let's call it Twitter Postman favorites or something like that.
Yeah. Twitter Postman. Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna keep it as a team workspace at this point, but maybe we can publicize it a little bit if we think that's necessary later on.
Sure.
But yeah, so I think it sounds like that we need a couple of different, we're definitely working with Twitter. So I'd like to get a sense of what all the Twitter APIs are. And so I think the first thing
sorry to interrupt, but Kevin's really a bobblehead. He really wanted the workspace to be called Kevin Wins a Bobblehead.
Workspace, I know.
Yeah, sorry, Kevin. Kevin's not eligible, so Kevin's sending sad emojis now. But sorry, Kevin.
Well, Kevin could be he could be our test user. We can test it and see if it works with his name, how many times we get it. But cool. So I'm thinking we will need to get Twitter's APIs as well. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the Twitter public workspace. So, okay, so this is where I guess all of the Twitter APIs live. So I think the API v2. So remind me again. So we're looking up tweets, correct? So
yeah, so we need to look up tweets, but we need to search tweets because we have to look for the hashtag, and we have to narrow it down by date because we don't want to find everything, because we ran this contest last quarter for the DevRel team, and so we want to restrict it to a date range as well. So we're going to need a way of searching Twitter. So I would say I did see a search listing in there.
Right. I saw search tweets and tweet lookup. So I'm just going to go ahead and fork this whole thing. Just, we can use our whole thing. So let me just go ahead and create a fork. Oops. All right. So and then we'll keep it in our workspace. So all right, awesome. So we have the Twitter APIs, and then Ian, you wanted me to also do the random choice APIs, right, as well?
Yeah, so if we search Postman for the words random choice, you'll see a little API that I put together yesterday where we can basically send over a list of strings, and it's going to randomly pick one and just send it back. So yeah, so we're going to use this random choice selector, and we will fork this one over as well. And it's just a
Okay.
single endpoint. It's just a post endpoint where you send over a little body with a list of strings, and it's going to randomly pick one and send that back as a response.
Great. So we'll do that at the Twitter Postman favorites. Okay, cool. I think I'm going to create a collection so I have a place to work in. So let me create my own collection. I'll just call this Twitter Postman. Okay. So this is our collection. So I think the first thing that we're probably thinking that we'll need is we're going to need that Twitter search API, right? So let me just copy that search API over. So this is the search tweets. And I believe that this one gives you like the recent tweets, and then this one gives you like an archive search. So
yeah, we probably want the recent one, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Okay, so let me just, I'll duplicate it, and then I think I'll just drag it over into this one. So personally, what I like doing is like I like starring these collections just so they're at the
Good
top,
idea.
and so it gives me a little bit more like, okay, this is what I'm working with, and like, you know. So and like let me edit this a little bit just so I can get rid of that. Okay. All right, so we are here. And the one thing I wanted to take a look at, because I know that when you work with Twitter, you're going to need some variables. So you need a bearer token, secret keys, and all of that. When I've worked with Twitter in the past, I was okay with just using my bearer token because that's what the auth is. So we'll probably need to authenticate that, right? So
yeah. Now we do want to make sure that we do this in a secure way. And so we want to make sure that when you're setting this, if you're going to do it in an environment, we want to make sure that you're setting it as a secret type and that you're only setting current value. And so for everybody watching, if you are building out an environment or doing something with variables inside of Postman, if you set an initial value, it's going to synchronize to the Postman servers. And if it's a public workspace and a public environment, other people are going to be able to sort of unmask and see what you've saved in there. And so we really recommend only saving secret things like bearer tokens and API keys inside current value, not initial value. Current value is going to save within whatever your local environment is. So if you're in the desktop application, it's going to save it as part of your desktop app. If you're in the browser, it's going to save as part of the browser, and it's not going to copy between them. And so you can have both the desktop and the web browser with their own different current values. So we want to make sure that we're doing this in a kind of a secure way. So we want to make sure we only set current value here.
So in this case, but I'd like to do this in an environment variable. So like if I create an environment variable, let's call it like Twitter
own different current
ENV. I'm going to create a variable here called bearer token. Let me get rid of these curly braces. So that way we can kind of read that value, and then I'll set this to secret. So I'm hoping that once it's secret, you guys will not be able to see this live. So let's see. Let me copy.
So the nice thing about making this a secret is whatever Pooja types inside current value immediately gets masked. So even somebody looking over Pooja's shoulder wouldn't be able to see what she's typing in here.
Right. Okay, cool. So I think I'm good here. Right. Okay, cool. So let's see. Now let me set this authorization to bearer token. And I can, oops, not that. Let me change this to this. Okay. So 1 second. I will set this back. Just 1 second.
That's okay.
Let me go back here.
We had someone chat in on LinkedIn, said environment variables and secret for the win. Exactly. Yeah, we want to keep this stuff very secret for sure.
Nope, not secret. Let me try one more thing.
Are you trying to set the collection authentication? Or what
Yeah, let me just try one more thing.
Okay.
And I will set the bearer token right here, and I will set this as bearer. Okay. And then
you'll need to probably pick your environment.
Right, and so that this will, yes, from here, right, okay, cool. And then I'm actually gonna move this one down in here instead.
Cool. So we had someone ask to share the collections, and so I will redrop the collections in here. So we're using the Twitter public API, and we're also using another one called Random Choice. So you can search for those on Postman, but I'll drop links in chat.
Yeah.
And someone else asked, like, is everything over? So the contest is not yet over. Until we start drawing these, you can still post on Twitter using the Postman favorites hashtag. You got to make sure it's capital P, capital F, because we're about to do a case-sensitive search here. And then we're going to be drawing for that marketing swag that we saw. So yeah, you still have a little bit of time, and we're going to be drawing 3 winners today. And if we don't draw your name today, you still have an opportunity to win. So don't stop tweeting. You can keep tweeting, and we'll talk more about that at the end of the stream. All right, so you got your bearer token in there, it looks like.
So, yep. So I think, so if I look at my headers, I will, I'll need to probably authorize from parent, right? So it looks like that I probably have that saved in there. So I'm wondering, is there a way I can like just test like the metadata just to make sure that like this API works in general? Is there like a kind of like a like if I were to do a get, I think.
Well,
I know I haven't put any parameters in it yet, but I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, you could just try a search for.
I don't get like a 401, you know.
Yeah, I mean, just try and search for anything over there. Search for the word Postman or something as part of your query, maybe.
Okay, it's a bad request. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. And now I know it works. So I can kind of, I guess I'm successfully connected to Twitter, which is what it looks like. So yeah, I think that's a start here at least. So.
So Pooja, before you go too much farther, someone asked on LinkedIn, is the API key somewhat related to the bearer token? So in your experience working with the Twitter API, is there a difference between the API key and a bearer token here?
I think it's just a different type of way of authenticating. From my experience, it seems like it's very similar to an API key. But so with the Twitter developer, so the way that the way you can get your authentication through Twitter is you want to go on twitterdeveloper.com. And then when you work with this API, this V2 API, they'll give you a bearer token and I think they also give you like an API key and a secret key. So I was able to just kind of work with that and be able to kind of get some of the permissions there. So yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, it looks like we've got kind of some starting blocks here. So now we can run the search.
Okay.
All right. So back to the constraints. So we want to look for the Postman favorites hashtag. And we also, once we get those tweets, we have to restrict it by a date range. So we want to make sure that we're only choosing tweets between April 1st and April 28th. Do you know of a way to do that within the search here? Or do we need to go look up documentation on how to search by date?
Yeah, so it looks like they have some timestamp.
Okay.
So it looks like the oldest UTC timestamp, so which will be provided in this date. So I'm wondering, okay, so if we put it in this format, so you're saying April 1st, is that what you mentioned?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so I'm wondering if we can kind of, like if I were to look at like the Twitter documentations for recent search. I think if I were to just look at this description, I think all I would have to do is put in that year. So like 2022. And I think I would have to like check these two things off.
Yep,
so
that's right.
Yep, 2022. And then April is the month of May of 4.
Yep.
And you're saying the 1st. So that would be that. And then I think the end time is that now?
We'll just pick today. So yeah, it'll be April 28th.
Okay, so 2022.
Now, if it complains about this, it was looking for a timestamp on there as well, separated by a capital T. So we could probably just put midnight on the 1st and put like, 23:59:59 on the 28th.
Okay. So
if it complains, we can just put a timestamp on there maybe. So chat. So if you're on Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, if you've got other suggestions of things that we can try, please let us know. We're totally okay with backseat drivers here, giving us hints and ideas. If you've got experience working with the Twitter API, or if you want us to try something, we've got a little bit of time here. And so we're happy to take suggestions and ideas from chat as well.
Yeah.
So feel free to help Pooja out Blindfold Challenge as we work through this.
Okay, so I definitely think we do need to put in that like the
timestamp.
The timestamp. So if you're saying put in capital T for both. And then
let's go look at the documentation again, because I think it might have had milliseconds on there too.
So
we might be able. Yeah. So I would say for the start time, we'll just start everything at midnight. So it'll be like 00:00:00.
Okay. So 00:00.
And then
00. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then end it with Z, right?
I don't know if we need to end with Z. I mean, we can try it. And then for the end time, we'll choose like 11:59:59 p.m. here. So since this is going to be 24-hour clock, it'll be 23:59:59.
23:59.
Because it's also looking at UTC, which is a different time zone than either Pooja or myself. And so we'll just use UTC time of like midnight and almost midnight.
Okay, so let's try that.
So didn't quite like that yet. Let's try that Z on the end again.
Yeah.
Try a capital Z.
Yep.
Also doesn't like that. Oh, must be on or after. Oh, because the documentation did say most recent, which is so we might need to figure out how else we can search for these tweets to go back more than 7 days.
Okay, let me see if there's another API. So search tweet, they have a full archive search. So I'm wondering if well, do they also have, so the archive search also has, so let's try that one instead. So let me just duplicate that and add that one in here. So let's try the same thing. So I will, so we'll do start time, end time. We'll do query. We'll keep the query as postman for now, just as a test. We'll try these two. Oops. Okay, and then we'll do okay, great. So we're here. Let me try and see if that works.
Ayush was also asking on LinkedIn, just wondering if there's any need for the end time. Wouldn't the end time just automatically be like right now? That's a really good point. We may not need the end time. Yeah.
Oh, we might not need the end time here. Yeah. Okay. So I'm seeing 403 here.
Okay.
So You must use keys and token from Twitter developer as attached to a project. Okay.
So it looks like the bearer token isn't going to work for that endpoint, maybe?
Really? Huh. So maybe this endpoint doesn't take bearer token versus this one. So I'm curious. So maybe we can look at the Twitter docs to just make, yeah. So let's
so why don't you bring that browser window, and show us your process for looking this up.
Okay, so I'm probably going to just.
Sorry, can you also zoom in on this?
Yeah, so let me zoom in on this. So let's look at, what is this called? So this one is called search tweets. I want to see if there's actually any, okay. All right, so let me just see if there's documentation within this. Okay, so it says refer to the main API documentation, just so I know where we're at. And then, okay, so it sounds like this is the Twitter API. I'm already here. So let's look at the Twitter V2 API. Let's see. Space reach. Sample stream. I'm wondering if I can just search here. So search tweets. Oops. Okay. So we are.
If you scroll up just a little bit there, it looked like it was talking about the full archive.
Oh.
We offer 2 endpoints that allow you to search: recent search and full archive search. Both of them are REST. I'm just looking at the bottom of the window there. These search queries are created with a set of operators. Yep. Okay. So let's go down just a little more, maybe. Once you set up your query, scroll up just a tiny bit. So once you set up your query and start receiving tweets, these endpoints support navigating the results both by time and tweet ID ranges. Okay. All right. So then we just need to figure out, you must use keys and tokens from an app. If you scroll back, yeah.
Okay.
Right at the top. So many operators, right at the top where it says many operators and query limits are exclusive to academic research, meaning you must use keys and tokens from an app within a project.
Okay.
Oh, within academic research access. Interesting.
Okay, so maybe I need both my bearer token and like possibly like an access key. So I'm curious, so right here it says that I would need, so I have like the bearer token, token secret, access token. So let me see, I think I have access to all of that. So for research search, it says you can authenticate your requests via this type of authentication. For full archive search, which is what we're planning to do, right? You need an app access token.
But the paragraph right before that says it's only available to projects with academic research access. So I wonder if we're going to have to request that, or if that's something that'll happen kind of automatically.
Let's see. I mean, this is a rabbit hole I think we're going down, right? So who is it for? Are you eligible for academic research? New and existing to need to complete an application. Oh, wow. Okay. I think I need to complete an application. So I guess if you are a master's student or a doctoral candidate, you can access this type of stuff. So, which I think is a little bit, but it seems like you can get a lot of stuff. Like you can get like all of these tweets and do a little bit of this stuff. So I'm wondering, Ian, do you feel like we should go about modifying our criteria to use the last 7 days instead of like the last month?
Well, we did tell people it was the whole month of April though. So we are going to
Okay,
need some
that's
way of
true.
like searching older tweets from there.
Okay, so let's see. So should I go about applying, or do you think? Like, I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's going to be like an immediate like response
Yeah,
on that.
right.
David on LinkedIn says we're going to have to request it. It looks like.
Yeah.
And Keith Casey is also saying the Twitter API is very anti-developer at this point. So we may run into issues with this. If we can't, we're just gonna have to do the last 7 days.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
one thing, so we will say that as a company, I'll kind of give the spoiler here that if you haven't tweeted in the last 7 days, if we don't pick your name from the last 7 days here, Postman as a company is extending the contest until May 9th. And so they're going to be drawing, as part of celebrating our 20 million users, we're going to be drawing an additional 20 winners on May 9th. So keep tweeting. We like as a company, we're going to find a way to like have a whole bunch of people win. So today, Pooja and I are going to pick 3 winners, but it looks like we might be restricted to only the last 7 days of people that tweeted that hashtag. And so if you tweeted before the last week, since last Thursday, go ahead and tweet again. So it'll be a recent tweet. So if you're watching live right now, get your tweet in right now. Just go like retweet yourself, or just go tweet again what you had posted. And we're going to make sure we deduplicate and all this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this is a good challenge because it kind of shows us like it's the power of tweeting regularly and things like that. But yeah, cool. So it looks like Keith is saying like the application process can take weeks. So I don't think we got. Yeah, so we'll keep going.
We haven't got that kind of time. So yeah, we'll just go ahead with we'll just go ahead with the 7 days. So Keith, appreciate the help on that. Thank you.
Oops. Awesome. All right, so we are here again. So I think what we tried to do is the last. So the last 7 days from now. So
I wonder if we leave the start and end time off, is it just going to grab 7 days of data? So like someone else was saying, like, do we even need the end date on there? I think we could probably just take them both off, and hopefully we'll get 7 full days as we search.
All right. So if I just search with like a query, yeah, I was able to see that.
Okay.
Cool.
Super. So well, let's. So we have to look for our hashtag. And we also want to, and then from there, we're going to get into writing some test code that as we iterate over these, we're going to try to find like, we may have to grab the Twitter or the tweet ID and then go look up who the author was. Because it doesn't look like, did we get that data in the response? Do we know who the author was of those tweets, or we just have the ID of the tweets? We just have the ID.
Yeah, so we're
gonna have to collect those IDs and then go look up the authors.
Okay. So it sounds like we'll have to do that. So do we want to first like set this query for the hashtag that we're interested in?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go and do that. So the tweet fields, would it be in tweet fields, or would it be?
I might actually just make that the query itself.
Oh, okay.
Can we put in a? I don't know if we can put in a hashtag here, if that'll break things, because sometimes the hashtag is treated as like an anchor marker on a page. And we should also see if we can make this case sensitive, like if we search for capital P, capital F, if that will make a difference on the search results.
Okay, let's try that. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got Kevin already, Devrel Kevin.
Kevin's really trying.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. It looks like we're finding our hashtag, so that's a good start. So now we're basically going to have to grab all of these IDs, I guess, and figure out who the authors are.
Okay.
And then we can use that random choice to go randomly pick some authors.
Okay, cool. So
it's also, so it looks like it's also paginating. It's only giving us 10 at a time. So we're also going to have to paginate to go get all of our results here as well.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, I remember pagination from the 30 days of Postman. That was
Yeah.
an interesting challenge. So I will have to think about how to do that. Okay, cool. So I guess right now, the first thing that we'll want to do is be able to go through all of these IDs, correct? So, or
That's right.
be able to parse this. And so I think in the test, I think the first thing what we'll need to do is we'll need to kind of be able to get the ID data. So I feel like what we'll need to do is we'll probably need to kind of create some sort of be able to parse that response. So if I do let response equals PM dot response JSON, and I'm thinking it will be that will give me the whole response, but I feel like we'll need the data. So it could be .data, right? So so what we'll need to do is here, it sounds like for essentially for each of the response in this particular data, I think I'm thinking that we'll probably need to kind of loop through this particular data array to grab each of the IDs here, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so I think we'll probably we'll want to set that as well as some sort of variable at some point as well too, right? So if I do some sort of for loop here, so let's see.
So can you show us what you're clicking on and what you're looking through?
Yeah, so I'm looking at just this data right here, and I'm thinking that we'll probably just kind of need to kind of go through just this overall array here. So I think if we create, I just want to make sure that I can get what this response is. So let's see. Do you have any thoughts here, just on kind of where I kind of start? Sorry.
So the data element is going to be an array, and so we're going to have to iterate over that to then go for each of those data elements. We're going to have to go extract the ID out of that inner object where we get the ID in the text. So we'll probably need to do data.forEach or response.forEach or something like that, and do a for loop and iterate over that data to grab each of those inner objects and then grab the ID out of that.
Yep. So I'm thinking that when we'll need is a so if I were to create a data array,
so you're already going to have that. So response should be that array of objects. So I think we can just do something like response.forEach maybe.
Yeah.
and then we'll use JavaScript to iterate over that. So folks in chat, folks that are watching live, if you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, if you've got ideas to help Pooja out here, you're more than welcome to drop ideas
If I create
on how to iterate over this data.
Right.
Go ahead, Pooja.
So I'm thinking for each like ID in each index here.
Do folks in chat know how to use the map in how we can just map over these objects and just extract those IDs? That might be a little bit faster way of doing
okay.
it.
We can also do.
We could probably do something like
Yes.
let IDs equals response.map and just have it return the ID or something like that.
Yeah. So if we do that, then we can kind of create this like essentially be able to create like
so we get an array of those IDs. Yeah.
Yes, so, exactly. So then
on line 3, so someone here is actually helping us out with a bit of code. So var response equals JSON parse response body, which we've already done. Response.data.for each. Yeah, so we're kind of honing in on this. I think we probably want to use map on this to extract this and not just a for each. I think so. The variable that you're defining on line 3 that you're calling ID, we probably just want to call like tweet or something, and then we want to grab like tweet.id. Because tweet is going to be that inner object where we have the ID and the actual text of the Twitter message. So we'll just call it tweet here.
Okay.
You've got like tweet.id or something on that line. We're just going to call it tweet.
Okay. So we'll call that
and then,
tweet. And
then inside the curly braces, I think we just do like tweet.id. I don't think we need anything else. And that should give us back just the ID of that inner object that we're extracting. And then we can save all of this at the beginning of line 3. I think we can save this in a variable now. And we'll just call it like Twitter IDs or something like that.
Oh, I see. Okay. So we can call this like, if I create like a, I hear what you're trying to say. So if I create a variable called like Twitter, let Twitter.
No, so the let will be at the beginning of line 3, I think, Pooja, because we're gonna so map is gonna return an array of what it's finding inside there, and we want to store that as a separate array.
Right. Yep. So let me go ahead and do that. So the beginning of line 3.
Yep. So there we go. Looks like this user on LinkedIn is helping us out here. So we're going to need something along this lines like Twitter IDs equals response.map. And it looks like we may not even need the curly braces on here.
Yep.
So instead of the word tool, we'll substitute the word tweet or something like that. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, we welcome any help that we can get from our chat. So thank you for the thank you for the picture.
And then do we want to go ahead and like set this Twitter ID as something?
Well, probably not yet, because we're going to have to go look up these Twitter messages to actually get the author. So now that we have that ID, is there some way that we can go use the Twitter API to say, hey, go get all the details about a tweet using this ID value? Because what we may need to do is actually iterate over all of these. Well, we're going to have to iterate over all these Twitter messages with the IDs and actually go get the author for all of them. And then maybe add them to a set or something that's going to deduplicate them.
Okay.
So after line 3, we're going to have to basically go take that list of Twitter IDs, and we're going to have to go look up each of those.
Okay.
So is there something else in the Twitter API that we can use to say, like, here's an ID, go give me everything about that tweet?
Okay, so let me see if there's like a tweet lookup ID. So maybe there's like this tweet lookup API. I think that takes the ID.
Yep. Okay.
So should we do this? Maybe do we want to do this from? Do we want to
It
start
would,
off
it would
like
be
with a single?
it would be a lot more efficient to do a multiple.
Yeah.
Since we've got that array of Twitter IDs now,
Yeah.
we could do the multiple tweets and just go look them all up in one shot. And then
Okay.
we'll go look up the next batch and we'll go do another call and look those up.
Okay, so let me just add this one in here, right?
Yep.
So
So
we'll
someone's
multiple.
asking on Twitch, would it not make more sense to select the winning tweet and then look up the account afterwards? Yeah, we certainly could. But we still have to go look up the authors. So we have to look at the length of the message, and we're going to add that in here, I think, because we want to make sure that people aren't doing retweets necessarily, and we want to make sure that they're not just tweeting the hashtag. So there may be a little bit more work to do in that test code around some of this, but from there, what we want to do is we probably just want to grab. We're going to have to store those IDs and then go make a call to go look up the authors. And we're going to have to call this stuff multiple times. This is where it's going to start getting a little tricky, because we're going to have to go make that call multiple times to go fetch multiple tweets. We might have a way to do like go fetch 100 tweets at a time instead of just 10, like see if we can extend that pagination to something a little bigger. And then see if we can, iterate over those. Because there's going to be multiple calls that are going to happen. Now, one thing that Postman can do inside that test code is we can tell our test code to go run more requests. And we basically have to do that until we exhaust all the pagination that we have.
Right.
So this might get a little more involved here.
Right. So I'm thinking like right now, if we wanted to get like a whole thing of multiple tweets, right? So at this point, we have like, an array of tweets kind of like sitting here. So I just want to make sure, like if I were to just console.log this, it looks like we have this Twitter. Okay, so like all of the Twitter IDs, like 10 of them here, on this. So it sounds like if we wanted to get the data from just like those 10, and we wanted to feed them into this particular ID block, what we'll probably need to do is we'll probably need to set this as some sort of like variable, I'm thinking, right? If I can set that like as an environment variable. But since it's an array, we'll probably have to like stringify that array, correct?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Because Postman won't save complex data types. So we have to stringify it. And then when we want to use it later, we have to reparse it back into an object.
Right. So if I were to go and just create like this pm.environment. So layers also, it's kind of helpful here is like sometimes I forget how to do these things.
Yeah, we get those little snippets.
Scripts, yeah. So I just usually like take one of these. All right. So if I call this one just like Twitter IDs, and then I can take this variable value right here. I can do JSON.stringify.
Yep, good.
And then I can do Twitter ID, right? So that will set all of those as a environment variable right here. So if I send this, I'm looking at, I look like I have all my Twitter IDs. Yeah. So now if I can actually just use this variable here. So I can do Twitter ID, right?
So the documentation here is that it's looking for 100 comma separated, but it's not going to want quotes and it's not going to want those square brackets.
Yeah.
So we may have to do something in our pre-request script here to actually go parse it and then make one new string that's just comma delimited. Because if
Okay.
we look at what the environment variable is right now, we have the square brackets and we quotes around all those IDs. And we're gonna have to take those out.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we'll have
to do that. We'll have to do that inside a pre-request script before we call this other request.
I see. Okay. So sounds like we'll have to do a little bit of like reading and writing and parsing, right?
Yep.
So
we'll go read it out of the environment. We'll have to
okay.
parse it, and then we'll basically make a new string.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So if I were to read it from the environment variable, let me just create another string here or variable here. So if I do var, let's just call it like Twitter string equals I'll do JSON parse, and that'll parse out the environment variable, right?
Okay. Yep.
So pm dot environment variable dot get, and then I will do Twitter ID right here, right? Okay, so that will get that whole thing. So that's going to have like all the comma separated things. So now I think I will have to.
Now we have an array.
Yes, now we have an array. So
now that's going to be an array of strings.
Yeah.
How can we tell JavaScript to join all of those strings into one string?
So that will be an array of strings. So I think what we'll have to do is I might have to do a little Googling here.
So we want to see how to join a list of strings into one string.
So is there a,
and can you show us what you're Googling? Can you show us that process too? That's all part of our blindfold.
Sure.
So we want to see what you're figuring out here.
So I'm trying to look at, like, if I were to, okay, so there's element.join.
Yep.
That just joins everything. So if I were to do, if I could just do like create another variable in here, and so like if I were to run that, that just joins that into like one string.
And so we want to join it with a comma. So the parameter that we pass to join is going to be what we're joining the strings with, like what are we gluing them together with. And so that'll just be a comma inside a quote.
A comma inside of a quote. Okay.
So very similar to what they have on line 9 here, where they're combining them with a dash. We're going to make it a quote instead. So where they have elements.join and then the dash, we're going to do something similar to that. So your Twitter string right now is actually an array, but we want to join what we get back here. So we could just add that on the end of line 1. We could just do a .join on the end there. And then we'll pass the comma inside a quote. And that tells it how we want to sort of glue these things together. And now Twitter string is going to be that a single string of comma separated Twitter IDs. Okay, so a comma inside some quotes. And then I just want to see what that looks like when I console log it. So if I just console that, okay, cool. So when I do that, I should be able to, and there's our comma delimited set of strings. Now the request that you're sending is still using the environment variable the environment variable kind of as is. And so now we have to take this new Twitter string that we've made and we need to set that as a variable so that our request can actually use that one instead. So we need to
Okay,
set
so
this new string as like just a pm.variable, and
variable, yep,
that's just a
yep,
temporary variable type as opposed to setting it in the environment.
right. So you're saying pm.variables.set,
Mhm.
and then we will set this one. I'm going to call this just like IDs, right? And then I'll make that Twitter string, right?
Yep.
So,
And then
and
on the
then
request itself,
right here,
so
and then
there's
the
the
parameter.
params. Yep. And
So
we'll
we
just
can
pass
just,
ID or whatever you called the variable there.
yeah, I think I just called it. Okay, let me just make this. Cool.
All right. Now it looks like it's unresolved here, but it will actually resolve it as part of running the pre-request script, because the way that Postman works here is it runs all the code and the pre-request runs the request. And so even though it looks like it's unresolved, it should work for us. Okay.
Cool. So I think it was able to get all of those IDs. So now let's look at the response body a little bit. So if I were to look at right here, we can get.
So that gave us the ID in the text, but it still didn't give us the author. So we need to figure out how can we tell this to give us the author as well.
Okay, so I think what we need to do is also set up some. Is there a way? I know with some Twitter APIs, you can get some more information out of it.
What are those fields, like user.fields? Is there a way to get the username? And I'm kind of wondering, is there a way to do that on the previous search that we did?
Does that also have a user.field? So let's check right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So let's just grab it from there. I think that'll make that a little
That'll
easier.
be easier. Okay. So let's see. They take description entities.
Name.
So what will?
There it is.
Oh,
so we just want the word
name.
name in there, I think.
Okay.
Well, that made that even easier. All right. So let's take so let's send that over, and now we have the ID. Oh, we didn't get the names though. Did you hit send on that?
Yes, actually, you know what? Send. That's weird.
And we didn't get an error about it either. Comma separated list of fields for the user object. What if we put in multiple things? Like what if we put in name and username? I think it's username we might want.
Name,
let's just try like name, comma, username. Yeah. I'm kind of curious what that expansion required thing is trying to tell us too. If we go look at the documentation for it, it said something about expansion required.
Yeah, so you're saying what are we doing here? We're doing recent search, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So query.
Identify which fields. Oh, expansions. Okay. So it looks like we have to enable the expansions to get the user.
Okay, I see. So we will do right here, expansion. So
and then it looks like we have to actually specify in there that we want to expand the username or something from there.
I see. Okay. So usernames.
If you go back to the documentation, they had an example there of how to set expansions. So we want to do like
includes.
Oh, so if we tell it the value of author ID, we're going to get the name and the username and so on. So I think we just want to include author ID as the value there.
Okay. That work? Okay.
So now we have the author
so
ID.
We have author.
Well, we got the author ID, but we didn't get their username.
Author ID. Yeah, that's weird.
So
maybe we need.
Oh, user.fields. Well, that would give us the user description.
Yeah, because that gives you like this information.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do know from your other work with Twitter that you can grab the user IDs and go look those up in a batch.
Oh, you're saying like
instead of grabbing the Twitter IDs like we were doing, go grab the user IDs, like go grab those author IDs and then go look up all the users in a batch and grab the IDs from there.
Okay, we could do that. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so let's grab those again. So let's do like, let me copy this again. So if I were to do, let's call this author ID, right? And then I will call this like author. I'm very bad with variable names. I'm like, what should I call it? I don't know. Tweet ID.
So in this case, it would just be like, well, we're still grabbing it out of the tweet data. So instead of tweet.id, it'll be like tweet.author ID.
Tweet.author ID, yes.
On line 3. So just change line 3. I would remove line 4 and just change the end of line 3. Instead of tweet.id, we want tweet.author ID.
Okay, yeah, because we technically don't need that anymore. This tweet ID. So we can get rid of this. Did that work? No. Okay, and cool. So let me just save it just to make sure I would get. Okay, so it looks like we got all these tweet IDs, or these author IDs right here. Okay, so now we want to use that username. So if I do I think I use the user, so user by ID or users by ID.
Users,
so let's do that. Yeah. So let's duplicate that.
And then I think the pre-request script is going to be the exact same thing, where we're grabbing that list, we're parsing it, we're going to join it on that comma, and then pass it in from there. So it'll be very similar. Okay,
so let's do that. So let me grab this, and we'll do this in the pre-request script here. Let's make sure. So we have IDs right here. Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna. Oh no! What happened? Sorry, can you still see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Okay. Something happened to my second monitor. Just 1 second.
Okay, no problem. So while Pooja's figuring that out, I'm going to share my screen for a minute because I'm a little bit curious on the documentation as well. Let me go share.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back?
No, actually no.
I'm a little bit curious on the Twitter API myself. If the search that Pooja did when we're searching those tweets, doing that recent search, if there's a way in here to tell it to give us maximum results. So the maximum number of searches can be up to 100. So it looks like we can tell it to paginate up to 100 at a time. So I think we're just going to grab the most recent 100 and we'll draw, I think, our winners from there. All right, so let me give Pooja back the screen.
All right, cool. So I think we got everybody's names now.
Okay, so we want to go back and we want to change the recent search. We want to change how many results we get. Instead of 10, we'll do 100.
Oh,
so
okay.
Let's go back to recent search.
Recent search. Okay, cool.
And then in the params, we're going to set, there's a parameter called max results, and we're going to set that to 100.
Okay.
That'll give us 100 instead of 10.
Yeah. Okay, so that gives us 100. All right, cool. Nice. So we'll get that all in one go.
And then,
so if I
and then
send
the
that,
users, and now if we fetch the users, it should give us all 100 of those users.
yes.
Now from
Cool.
here, we can see that there are some duplicates in here. I noticed a couple already. So now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to parse through this data. We're going to have to deduplicate the users and then send that over to our random choice.
I see. Okay.
So now we want to go grab those usernames and store those in an environment variable.
Okay, so let's do that. So let me get rid of this just because it's like bothering me. I need to clean up as I go, right?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let me go here. So back in this users by ID. So now we have everybody's user ID. So I'm going to do the similar thing here in the test tab right here, right? So let me, I'm going to just copy this over so I kind of have like a reference. So let's.
So
okay,
Kevin's also making sure people aren't gaming the system. He's wondering whether the first request will actually allow us to ignore retweets. Can we go back to recent search and just look through some of the other parameters and see if there's any way to filter that out as part of our initial search?
Sure. So
can we look at params in here?
Okay.
Or if there's any way to sort of exclude certain things.
So tweet fields.
I don't know if that's quite what we want.
I still think it's kind of weird that we didn't get like these user.fields like usernames here, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we got what we needed though. We got our author ID and we can go look it up from there. So it's fine. It's just an extra step for now.
Right.
But yeah, Kevin does bring up a good point. So one thing that we could do is we could look for the letters RT on the Twitter message. So if we go look at the raw content that comes back from this call, if we go look at the body, we can actually see RT at the beginning of that second tweet on line 11. So I'm wondering if we could just filter out anything where the text starts with RT and just filter those out.
Okay, so we'll probably need to kind of do some manipulation from
inside
just
our
like
test here. Yeah.
Inside of our test for the text itself. Right.
Yep.
So
we can do that inside of this map as well. So what we're going to do on line 3 is after the equal greater than, we're going to start a curly brace. And we'll do a closing curly brace before the parentheses. So what we're going to do now is between lines 3 and 4, this is where we want to filter these things out. So what we're going to do here is we need to look at tweet.text. That's actually going to be the text of our Twitter message. And what we want to do here is we want to say if the text doesn't start with RT, then we want to include that author ID.
Okay. So if we do like could I do like an if statement? Like if
I think so, yep. Now we're gonna have to figure out how do we do a string includes. So we should be able to do a dot includes.
Yeah. You know what? I remember there was a snippet that kind of did that. So like if something contains like a certain string. So like I remember seeing like contains strings. So dot includes, right? So so if I do like if tweet dot text right, I could do
so the to include though is going to be like our testing code. We can do dot includes here and just put a bang in front of the tweet dot text, and so that'll negate it. So we want to say if it doesn't include RT, then we want to use that author ID.
Okay, so foo.text.
Yep. Someone's also suggesting we could use contains.
Okay.
So contains or include should work.
Okay.
Okay. So if it doesn't, let's try contains actually. So do contains, and then the parameter to this I think is just going to be another string, and we'll just look for like capital RT space maybe, and see if we can filter them out from there. Now, when we're doing a map, if we do a return statement in here, it's actually going to add that thing to our map. It doesn't return like a function return. So inside here on line 5, we can say return tweet author ID.
Okay.
Otherwise, we just don't return anything at all, or we could return a null or something like that.
Okay.
Now, in this case, chat, you're going to need to help me out on this because my JavaScript's a little rusty. Is there something that we can use other than map? Because map, as I recall, is going to give us like a whole bunch of nulls or something if it doesn't return something, and we want just the things that it does find. Is that a filter or a find or something like that? Keith is also saying he's wondering if there's like a starts with or something. It might be more precise since the tweet is going to start with RT and not just be RT anywhere in the tweet. Like if somebody says, I love how Postman can start, it's going to see the letters RT space in the tweet, and that might give us problems. Someone's saying try using filter instead of map. So let's change line 3 and let's change map to filter.
Okay. So
and then let's console log what we get back from that and just see, or actually we can just look at the environment variable after that. But I'm curious if we actually get fewer results. Let's console log the length of the Twitter IDs. Yeah, so just Twitter ID.length. And let's see how many we filter out. So if there are some retweets in the first 100 and we filter them out, then we should console log fewer than 100.
Okay, so let me try that. So if we send that,
contains is not a function. All right, let's do include.
Okay.
Is it include or includes?
I think it's include.
Includes plural.
Oh, includes. Oh, 66. Cool.
So it found 66. So wait, no, I don't think we want to include on line 3. I think we want that as our if statement.
Oh, right.
So change line 3 back to filter, I think.
Dot filter, and then, oh, sorry, right here.
Instead of contains, we'll just say includes.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's also see, so I kind of like Keith's suggestion on, is there a starts with? There is a JavaScript call called starts with. So let's make it that instead of includes.
Okay. So instead of, so start.
So starts with a capital W. So starts plural, yeah, with.
Okay.
Let's try that.
Oh, okay, cool, 43.
So yeah, all right. So that filtered out a lot of retweets right off the bat. Okay. So now we've got a smaller list of tweets, and now we can go back to our users by ID, and now we can deduplicate our users from here. Okay. We could also do a check inside this other request saying like, go look at author IDs that are already in the list, and if it's not already in there, then include it. We could do something like that as well to have this also deduplicated, but I think we can do that in our user by ID pre-request script.
Okay, so you're saying that in this one, we'll want to basically get rid of the duplicates. So like
so in between line 1 and line 3. So response is going to be the array of user IDs, and we basically want to uniqueify it.
Okay.
So there is, let's see, there's a filter option that we can do for that. We could also move them into a set, and that would deduplicate them as well.
Okay. So
So
we'll
what we
want to.
can, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Did we want to parse? Like we could. I'm wondering if this is a harder way, but like if we parse by name, and then, but there's probably already a method to find like similar names already, right? Like the duplication method.
Well, actually, so in our test code here, this is where we're getting all of our usernames back. So from
Right.
here, we can basically just filter over these and say if we haven't already got this user in our set. But I think from here we could just build a set. So a set is a data
Yeah.
type that's going to store unique things. So
Right.
I think after this, so we're in our test code right now. This is where we're grabbing tweet.author ID. I think what we could do here. So this is going to give us back an array.
Mm-hmm.
So what we can do on line 2, oops,
Mm-hmm.
where we say let Twitter ID equals response.map, right after the
Mm-hmm.
equal sign,
Yeah.
right after the equal sign at the beginning there,
Yeah.
we're going to do this. We're going to say new set with a capital S.
Okay. So new set.
Well, there's a space, so new and then set. And
Uh-huh.
then set takes a parameter, and that parameter is going to be our response.map call. So put all the
Okay.
rest of that line in a set of parentheses.
Okay, I see. So we'll put this whole thing in here.
So this should take our list and put everybody in a set. And so this should now deduplicate everybody. And so now if we look at the length of Twitter ID, this should be our unique users.
Okay. Oops. What went wrong?
Yeah. We'll figure that out. Oh wait, no, what happened here? So did we not?
Cannot read type property of map. Oh.
No, this is failing because of what's in our IDs in our Twitter environment. If you go view your environment, go view your environment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
It's storing a lot of other stuff. So
I see.
it's storing the whole Twitter object. It looks like
Yeah.
instead of just the author ID. So our filter didn't
Oh,
work here.
yeah.
I think we want to do. I think we want to do a after line 6. I think we want to do an else and just do like a return null or something. After line 6, do an else.
Okay.
And just do like return null or something. Let's see if that'll clear this up. Let's just send this over and then go look at our environment and see, are we getting just the user IDs? No, we're still getting the whole object.
Yeah,
Why is it giving us the whole object? If someone in chat knows what's going on here, I want to grab just the author ID. And I thought that doing a return and a filter would give us just that one property. If anybody's got ideas here, we're running a little short on time, so we would love any input.
Is there a starts with? Oh wait, that's
We already have the starts with. What we're trying to figure out from here is why the return on line 5 is giving us the whole tweet, because we want to get just the author ID out of this. So if anybody in chat's got some ideas, we could use some JavaScript help here. If anybody wants to help us out. All right, so let's go figure out. We basically. So we're stringifying the entire object. We're not extracting just the author ID here. We almost need to like refilter, remap on the results that we got here. we could just do that after line 10. We'll just do like another. So after line 10, we're gonna make a whole new variable here.
Okay.
Nope. After all of line 10, like start a whole
Okay.
new thing of code.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll do another like let variable.
Yeah, and we're just going to do another. We'll do a map over this one. So actually, don't do a let. We'll just reuse Twitter ID.
Okay.
So we'll say Twitter ID equals Twitter ID dot map, and we'll do similar to what we had before. So Twitter ID dot map, open parentheses, tweet arrow tweet dot ID or tweet dot author ID. Yeah. And then let's go run this.
Okay.
And then go look at our environment and see if we have just the author IDs in there now.
Okay.
So that's better.
It looks
okay.
That's better, yeah.
So it's a little bit of a janky way of doing it. So let's go do our user search now.
Okay.
Now that we got that fixed. Yeah, Kevin was showing a little snippet of code here.
Yeah.
Tweet starts with RT. Yeah, so we would basically have to chain a whole bunch of these filters together. But yeah, that would definitely help us out for sure. So we'll go back and we'll get this cleaned up, I think.
Okay.
Cool. So now that we have all of this,
I'm getting an undefined here, but let's look. Oh, okay, because we were doing a Twitter.length to try to see how many we get back.
Yep. So we are getting our user names at this point. So these are the user names based on the users that tweeted. So now our Twitter ID should be a set. If we console log just Twitter ID, it should be just a set at this point. And then we're going to need to figure out how to pass that to our random choice code.
So I'm seeing this set as like empty right now.
Okay, so let's go back to the code for a sec.
Yep. So new set response.map.
Oh, someone says we
author ID. Because isn't this response? There's no author ID here. Just ID.
In this case, yeah, we want username, not author ID. Yep.
Yeah, username. Yeah. Cool. I'm wondering if that makes. Oops. Oh, okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah, we got all the usernames. Nice.
Cool. All right. So what we want to do now is we want to see if we can send this over to our random choice. But the list of usernames has to be an array of strings here. So we're gonna have to turn this set into an array of strings.
Okay, so we'll stringify this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna send you just a little snippet here in our private chat.
Okay.
So we can do something like Twitter ID equals something like this. So after line 5, we'll just say like users or usernames equals. Well, let's call it usernames because that's what we're dealing with now instead of IDs.
Yes.
So we'll just say let usernames equals, and then it's just a square bracket spread operator here to put that set back into an array. So in this case,
I see.
So we'll just do ... Twitter ID because we already have the set made. So we just need the ... Twitter ID.
Okay.
From line 2. It's our variable from line 2. This should turn it back into an array for us.
Oh, okay. All right.
So let's console log that real quick because we're pretty much out of time here. So let's console log this and then see if we can save that as a variable, make our other call, and then we'll just do that a couple of times and should have our winners. And I'm going to write down the usernames that we pick, and we will have to repick when we find Kevin in the list over and over.
Yeah.
And I will contact you over. Okay, cool. So we have that list. So let's save that as a variable. So let's save that list of usernames in an environment variable. And then we're going to send that over in our other request to pick our random choice.
Okay, so let's do set environment variable, and I'll call this one usernames. And we'll do this usernames.
And you're going to have to stringify that because we can't store an array.
Yep. Right. That's true. So let me do JSON.stringify right here. Oops. Okay.
Need an extra parentheses.
Yep. Cool.
Okay.
And so now we should have our list of usernames right here, right?
Okay, so let's go over to our random choice.
Yep. And then I can...
And in the body here, we're going to actually have to do a pre-request to pull this out. So in the body right now, we just have a list of these strings, but we're going to have to parse. We're going to have to go grab that environment variable, parse it back into our array, and then put that in a temporary variable to use in our body.
Okay, so let's do var username. So let's do JSON.parse here, and we'll do pm.environment.get, and we'll call that usernames, right?
Yep.
And so we want to put that back into this body right here.
So we're going to need a temporary variable here. So just pm.variables.set.
Yep. pm.variables.set, and we'll set
we can still call it usernames.
Yeah.
This will have to be a string as well. Yep. There you go.
Yep. And then we can do, right. And then could I just set this body as, well, should we set this as a collection variable?
No, we don't have to. We're making a temporary variable. So we don't have to make it a collection variable. So what we can do is, so in the body, we're going to start at the square bracket on line 2, and we're just going to replace that whole square bracket set with our variable. So take out the square bracket as well.
Yep. So I'll get rid of this, and then we can
just replace it with the double curly brace. Yep. Usernames. Okay. Now if we send this over, we should get a random. Wait. No, didn't like something there. pm.environment.get. Oh, get usernames has to be quoted.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Great.
All right. So our first response back. Expecting value on line 2. Are you kidding me? So it didn't like the input. So choices. So we do have to put it inside. So pull that up a little bit. I need to see the Python error.
Yeah.
So it pulled it out as a single string and not an actual array. So we need to tell this that this is actually an array of strings in our pre-request script.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it pulled it out as a list of strings. We have to turn it back into an array.
Okay.
So in the pre-request script.
Yes, let's turn it back into an array.
So after we do the JSON parse, we're going to do a split on a comma.
Okay.
And this should turn it back into an array of strings.
Right.
Yep, let's try that. So send that over.
Oops. Not a function.
Oh, we can't split after it parses?
Could we do .join? No, that turns it.
It's saying it can't do JSON parse and then .split. So we're gonna have to do .split after.
On usernames.
Yeah. So we'll just do the split on usernames on line 2. Something went wrong. Usernames.split is not a function. What? Oh, how are we setting that list of usernames? We're setting it as a string. This is bugging me because we're way over time here.
Yeah.
We're storing it as an array of strings. We're parsing it back. It should parse back into an array of strings. Can we console log usernames after line 1 and just see what it actually turned that into?
Oops.
It's fine. Just look at the console. It should print that out for us. So it is an array of strings. Can we not store a temporary variable as an array of strings? Close your console here. I'm a little curious what's happening in the pre-request script, because usernames is an array of strings. So we don't need the split anymore. Let's take the split off of line 3. So it did successfully turn it back into an array of strings. Send this over again. So our pre-request script, well, I mean, the Python is complaining though, because what we're actually building in the body is not actual JSON.
Right.
So the Python code is saying like, hey, you're not sending me actual JSON here.
Right.
All right, let's go back to our body of what we're sending over. So choices as usernames. That is the name of the variable. If anybody in chats can help us out here. No, Kevin, I don't think we want to turn it back into a string. We want it to be this array of strings, because that's what we need to build as our JSON output. And I thought that just setting PM variables set was going to work for us. All right, for the sake of time, we're going to have to wrap up the stream because we're way over time. But Pooja and I are going to keep working on this. And we're going to go pick our random users out of the list, and we will get those. I will send you notifications on Twitter. So look for a tweet from me. I'm Ian Douglas 736. I will be tweeting out our winners in a little while. Pooja and I are going to keep working on this right now, but for the sake of time, we do need to end the stream just to wrap that up. So we do have kind of a community shout out. Pooja, if there's anything that you kind of want to shout out, anything upcoming that you want to talk about, we'll do that really briefly before we close out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big community shout out is to keep tweeting. We're doing another marketing campaign there. And then, look out for some new blogs, some new content that's coming forward. So, awesome. I think that's pretty much it.
Cool. And then my community shout out is going to be for the Postman Space Camp. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat here for everybody. And I'll drop it on LinkedIn as well. And we've got some really great sessions coming up. So definitely want to check those out. So come hang out with us at Space Camp. It's free to register. And we're looking forward to running some in-person Space Camp events later this year as well. So stay tuned for those. But definitely go check out the free upcoming sessions that we have. It's free to register. They're only an hour long. And we get all the recordings up after they're done. And so you can always go back and look at the old sessions that we've done. Cool. Someone's saying it's a shame that we need to end the stream. Let us know how you fix it. Yeah, we'll definitely publish this out, and we appreciate everybody's patience with us as we went a little over time on this, and we'll see you on our next stream.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining.
All right.
Have a good one. Thank you.